All right, we're at it again for day 11 of Athletic Every Day. Today was a bit of a late one, but today I wanted to kind of riff on a little bit of a different topic than I usually do in my videos. Usually I just talk about the training as it's happening, but what I wanted to talk about in today's episode was a question that I came across. And the question is called the $100 million question. And the premise goes as such. You wake up tomorrow, you have $100 million or 100 million units of whatever currency you want, as long as it's not super hyperinflated currency. Essentially to the point where you have all of your material needs completely met. You don't have to worry about spending money on anything ever again. And you can go and spend it on whatever the hell you want. So the first 2 months you have it, you probably will go and buy your friends some nice gifts. You'll go and buy yourself a nice car. You'll buy that house you've always wanted. Maybe you'll go and look after your family members, whatever it is. And you've got that all out of the way now. You've done as best you can to spend all of that. Maybe you've gone out and partied, you bought a yacht or something. £100 million or dollars is a lot of money. And you've now successfully met all of your material desires, the yacht, the car, the boat, whatever it is. Then you wake up 2 months afterwards, you've completely partied yourself out, you've spent all the money on whatever you wanted to do. You still have, let's say, $90 million left. Who knows? Maybe you've got extravagant spending habits. You could spend up to 20 million. Who knows? But when you get to that point at the end, when you've used up all of your material desires, then what exactly do you want to do with your time? With the time that you have left? And then this really begs the question: what do you really want to do with your life? And it's a very interesting question to ponder, because a lot of the time we are scheming towards getting more money in our lives. And I think that if we can just put that part of the equation to one side, remove money from the equation, and just ask yourself, what would I actually do? What if money were no object? And on some pondering of this question today, I was just thinking, well, I guess I would kind of be doing this. I would just be training. I really enjoy training. I enjoy studying, the human body, human athleticism, and I suppose I would just be doing this more and more. And I think it's an important question to ask yourself seriously, because you can actually get some real value out of it. And for me, it's training athletes, it's working with athletes, it's becoming more athletic in myself, and just pursuing this concept of athleticism. I think that's going to be what my life is about. I'm only 24 years old. Hopefully I've got a good long life ahead of me. And that's what I kind of want my life to be about. None of those things I've just mentioned, all of those things I've just talked about, are monetarily related. I wouldn't say I'm motivated to do them because they'll earn me money. I'm motivated to do them because I enjoy them. They're sort of my creative expression of myself. And in actual fact, I would inconvenience myself. I would actually pay to do these things. I would pay to go and join a weightlifting class. I would pay to go and to buy a program to do for weightlifting, which I have done in this case. These are things that I'll do, and I'll happily go out of my way to do them because I just enjoy doing them. I would do them if I had £100 million in the bank, because they're fun. I find them interesting. They're passionate. They're my passions, and I think when you can live life on those terms, then for me at least, I would say that's the recipe for a happy life. Because it gives your life a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose, because it's something that you enjoy to do. It's something that you enjoy to do, you work at it every day, you get better at it, and it really builds into this concept of mastery. I'm not necessarily going to become a master at weightlifting, but I do want to think that at some point in my life in the future, I will have mastered all of the concepts of athleticism, and I will understand athleticism to a point where I've mastered it, and I can take any average person and make them into a better athlete, whether that's through weightlifting, whether that's through calisthenics, whether that's through jump training, basketball, gymnastics, whatever it is. Those are the sort of things, that's the sort of direction I want to go into, and sprinting as well. Anyway, that is enough of the philosophizing and asking kind of existential questions like that. So for those of you that stuck around to this point, this workout was a kind of a complexy workout. It was 2 powers and then a full of each lift. So 2 power snatches, then a full snatch. It's the same workout every week as it was last week. But this workout right here was the last workout of the entire program. So I've just completed 10 weeks of this beginner weightlifting program, and I must say it is a really, really nice feeling. Maybe it's just temporary, kind of fleeting, but it's a nice feeling to feel like you've actually finally completed something. You get a nice sense of satisfaction and, yeah, I guess completeness, wholeness when you finally finish something. I didn't miss a single day of this program. Really kind of put as much of my physical, mental effort into it as I could, and I have seen some results from it. I started out with 185 kilo total, and now I've got a 220 kilo total in my weightlifting movements. That being said, I do want to see how that improvement in the weightlifting total has impacted other aspects of my athleticism. I want to see how that has impacted my jumping ability, my sprinting ability. I want to see if the gains I've made through the weightlifting movements has actually given me any other qualities that are going to help to translate to other sports and other disciplines, because a lot of sports do use weightlifting movements as one of the primary ways to build power, explosiveness, speed, coordination in their athletes. They use it in a lot of track and field sports. A lot of sprinters use weightlifting movements. They don't necessarily use the full derivatives. They'll often use power movements, like power snatches, power cleans, power jerks, maybe even behind the neck split jerks, stuff like that. Stuff where it's, shorter range of motion, but obviously higher rate of force development, high hang cleans, high hang snatches, where you're basically having a very, very short impulse, very, very short reaction time, or not reaction time, sorry, a very, very short muscle contraction. Whereas if you're pulling from the floor, all the way from the floor, and then catching in a full squat, obviously there are benefits to that as well. You get a lot of strength benefits from that, eccentric strength, full range of motion. You get hypertrophy from that. But for obviously explosive sports, track and field, for example, there are other sports that use weightlifting movements, but in the track and field example, they'll use the weightlifting movements with those specific derivatives because they have a lot more application to what the athletes are doing. You're not going to get a high jumper, or a triple jumper, or even a long jumper to do full range of motion cleans. If you were, it wouldn't be for a very specifically long period of time. It would be maybe for a 4-week cycle, a 4-week microcycle in the program. But for the most part, you'll be doing high hang movements, high rate of force development movements to get the most specificity for the sport. But yeah, going back to this workout though, overall the workout was really nice. I'm still a bit sore from yesterday. I think my nervous system is still kind of fried, and I'm still recovering from that cold. But one thing I did notice when I was doing the cleans, they felt like I've had this issue in the past where I will bang the bar off of my thighs a little bit too much, but I felt like I got a bit more of a brushing motion this time. I got a bit more of a glancing blow of the bar hitting my thighs. It wasn't a hit, it was more of a kind of a brush and a continuation of the bar path. Whereas previously what would happen, I would bang the bar and I would get this huge separation away from me as the bar would sort of fall away. And, then I would either be playing catch up, trying to jump forward to meet the bar, or I would be catching the bar and it'd be way too far ahead of me and I'd be sort of landing on my wrists. But that's something I'm going to be thinking about going forwards. But now that I've finished the program, I'm going to take, I think, either a fortnight or just a week off of weightlifting, just to let my body fully recover from all of the accumulated fatigue that I've built up over this program. Because I can't lie, it's a kind of a brutal program. It's step loading, so you just increase the weight every week by either 2.5 or 5 kilos. So at this point, my body is pretty much ready for rest, and it needs some kind of active recovery days to help me recover. So looking ahead for the next few weeks and obviously months as well, I'm kind of having a bit of a dilemma about what to program for myself on my spreadsheet, what to incorporate into my training program, because, there are two sides to doing a program. As a strength coach, it is nice to be able to just follow a program that someone else has written and, just follow that. It's very simple. You don't have to think. You just go, what's the exercises today? I'll do that. And you can even get to the point where you can just memorize it, and then you can, what's the weight this week? But the sets and reps. and the exercises. But being a strength coach, you do also want to program for yourself. You program for athletes, you want to be able to program for yourself as well. So I'm having a bit of a dilemma about how to prioritize between different sports and how to prioritize between different athletic disciplines, because I really do love weightlifting. Have really enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it over the last 10 weeks, and it's something I want to continue doing. But I also want to start to incorporate more sprinting, jumping, and plyometric activities into the program as well. So, some goals that I have going forward. I want to be able to get a pretty comfortable easy dunk on 10 feet, which I haven't quite yet achieved. I've managed to get a 9/11 dunk with a deflated basketball. But for the most part, I still haven't trained dunks in a long time, so that is something I want to get better at, especially going into the summer months. I want to get good at banging a basketball on a 10-foot rim. I also want to improve my sprinting speed and my agility. When I say agility, specifically, I mean, I don't mean in terms of a team sport. I don't play any team sports. I'm not particularly interested in like rugby or football, although they are very athletic sports. I mean in the sense that you have agility when you do a flip or a trick. So tricking is something I also want to get into. I can do backflips. I can do a Webster just about, but I want to sort of really explore the world of tricking and how that obviously is a very athletic movement, and you need to have very, very good coordination, control, agility, stability. You need to have very good proprioception to sense where your body is in space as you're flipping, so you don't land on your neck and break your neck as you fall. That is something I want to move into as well. But obviously, I'm not necessarily got the best environment to do that in right now. As you can tell, from my from my garage in my backyard, it's not exactly the softest surface to be landing tricks on. I've contemplated trying to do backflips on this floor, but it's very, very sketchy. And if I land on my head, I know I'll regret it. So really, I need to wait until I've got some kind of safe foamy environment where I can do that. For example, a gymnastics center or maybe a trampoline center or something like that. There is one quite near me, but it's quite a lot of friction to go and do versus just going to train in your garage. So for the foreseeable future, the main things I'm going to be focusing on are sprinting and jumping, and sort of directing my training towards those and focusing more around those. And any weightlifting that I do is going to be sort of tailored towards those movements. As I said previously, to focus more on sprinting and jumping and optimizing for those movements. The weightlifting movements that quite nicely complement that aren't going to be the full lifts. It's going to be more power movements, and also movements from the high hang. So over the next week, I'll kind of have to calibrate how much weightlifting I'm doing, how much sprinting I'm doing, how much jumping I'm doing, also so that I'm managing the load and not just rushing straight into it and getting injured, so that now I can seamlessly transition my training, or hopefully seamlessly, into sprinting and jumping. So follow me along for the journey for that, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.